Two people can graduate from the same accounting department of the same university with the same grade and not be qualified for the same exemptions for their ICAN examinations, or worse, not be qualified to start at the same stage in their ICAN journey. Over the past few months, I've been answering lots of questions about ICAN, and in this video, I'll be sharing a few of them and giving my answers in depth and in the simplest way possible. I'll be answering questions that have been asked on your behalf about ICAN stages, ATS, exemptions, school accreditations, MCATI agreements, course splits, pathways for non-accountants, and more. So if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, then this is a formal invitation from me to you to keep watching. My name is Okoye Chioma Dorothy, BSc, AAT, ACA, and in this channel, we have conversations around ICAN, accounting, career, and growth for young professionals. Before we proceed to today's video, I would love to introduce you to our sponsors for this video. Well, we have no sponsors.
I was told to have it figured out, to know the rules, to stand my ground. But clarity came when I slowed my pace and learned in an honest, quieter space.
The ICAN professional examination is structured into 3 stages with a total of 15 subjects. The foundation level, which have 4 subjects, the skills level, which has 6 subjects, and then the professional level, which has 5 subjects. The foundation level is mainly for graduates who did not study accounting but would love to become chartered accountants. So once they pass their courses in the foundation level, they can then proceed to the skills level and then the professional level. Accounting graduates would either start from the skills level or the professional level, depending on the school of graduation and the year they graduated from. Here is what I mean. There are 2 ways that ICAN partners with schools: through school accreditations or MCATI, which means Mutual Cooperation Agreement with Tertiary Institutions. When a school is accredited by ICAN, it simply means that ICAN has reviewed the school syllabus and confirmed that it meets its required standards. Graduates from such schools will start their ICAN journey from the skills level. If a school, however, is not accredited with ICAN, it's a way of saying this school has no relationship with ICAN. And so graduates from such schools would start their ICAN journey from the foundation level. ICAN does not trust their syllabus, so ICAN treats them like non-accountants. MCATI agreement, however, is a deeper level of partnership between ICAN and institutions. And in this case, the schools aligns its accounting curriculum very closely with ICAN's syllabus. And the implication of this on its graduates would be that upon graduation, of course, they would begin their ICAN journey at the professional level, which is the final stage of ICAN. I mean, talk about soft landing. And it just reminds me of life, right? How that where you begin your life is largely dependent on the foundation that your parents set for you. Anyway, that's by the way. So these exemptions would only apply to students who graduate from such universities after the schools have obtained the accreditation or the MCATI status with ICAN. So yes, it is very possible for 2 graduates who finish from the same school to not begin their ICAN journey at the same level, because their exemption status will be based on their school's status with ICAN at the time that they graduated and not the time that they are writing their exams. Currently, it's March 2026, by the way. Only 18 universities, including private, states, and federal, and 4 polytechnics are under the MCATI scheme. For the accreditation scheme, we currently have about 102 universities and 44 polytechnics across the country. I will attach a list of all 22 institutions currently under the MCATI scheme with ICAN to the description of this video. So you may want to check that out if you watch this video around the time that it is released. It is also important that I say that A school's status with ICAN can change positively or negatively, and whichever the case may be, it's going to affect the exemptions status of its students from then henceforth. And so the best way to confirm your exemption status is to check the ICAN official website or visit a reputable tutorial center, and they should be happy to guide you. ATSWA stands for Accounting Technicians Scheme West Africa. It's a pathway for people who do not yet have a university degree but would want to become chartered accountants. ATSWA has 3 stages, the ATS1, ATS2, and ATS3, each of which has 4 papers in it. After completing the program, you earn an AAT qualification, which stands for Association of Accounting Technicians. With the AAT qualification, you get direct entry into the skills level and an additional exemption of 2 papers in the skills level, which is audit and taxation. So that means you get to write 4 papers in the skills level and not 6 papers. So if you want to become a chartered accountant as an undergraduate, then the pathway to follow is ATSWA. Graduates of non-business related disciplines like sciences and arts would typically not be qualified for any exemptions for obvious reasons, so would have to start at the foundation level. But graduates from business related disciplines like economics, banking and finance, management, business administration and the likes would also have to start at the foundation level, but would typically get exemptions from some courses. Now, the number of courses they get exemptions from will be determined by their school transcripts and the school's status with ICAN. So ICAN would usually review their transcripts to determine what exemptions they qualify for. This is a very subjective question because there is no right or wrong answer. However, there is a right or wrong answer per person. And so this makes it a really tough question when you do not know who you are speaking to specifically or when you are addressing a significant number of people. However, I shared a general guide with my LinkedIn community, and that is what I would share with you today. Consider writing all the papers if you have ample time. If you are ready and able to prioritize your studies for the next couple of months, if you have the stamina to study consistently without burning out, and if you do not already have 2 major competing responsibilities. For example, if you have a full-time job and you are also raising fully dependent kids, those are 2 major responsibilities, and attempting all the papers may not be the best option for you. With just one major responsibility, you may be able to manage with proper discipline and planning. I know you are not Yakubu, but you get the gist, abi? Advantages of taking all your papers would be that you finish faster, you save time overall, and you spend less money on your ICAN journey. It has its own downsides, of course, and this would be that there's high risk of burnout. Other areas of your life may suffer within that period, and not passing enough papers may negatively affect your confidence. So, seriously consider splitting your papers if your schedule is very busy or unpredictable, you are returning to studies after a long academic break, or you want to deeply understand the courses and not just pass them. So the advantages of splitting your courses would be you get to focus better, you gain deeper understanding of the subjects, there is lower mental strain, and it's much more easier to balance your studies with other responsibilities. The downsides of this, however, would be that it will take you longer to complete, obviously. The cumulative cost of completing your ICAN journey will be more, and it would require a decent and significant level of discipline to keep showing up for your papers and stay consistent on your journey. So really, the decision between taking all your papers at once or splitting your courses, it's not something that someone would decide guide for you, especially not a stranger on the internet. The best I should do is guide you so you can then make that decision for yourself. But in making that decision, please consider your academic track record and don't play small. I would encourage you to challenge yourself, but also be honest with yourself. And what I mean by that is don't take one paper when you can take 2 or 3 papers, and also seriously consider strategically splitting your courses in order to balance their weights. I'll make a video about course split, so you would want to keep an eye on this channel. But before then, I have written about it on my LinkedIn, and I would attach a link to that post in the description. And eventually, when I sit to talk about it, I'm also going to attach that to the description of this video. It's going to be a really useful guide to you if you want to split your courses, but you are not sure or you are confused about how to go about it. This question is from a recent economics graduate who is seriously considering taking the ICAN professional examination, and I decided to add it as the last question for this video. The professional qualification for economists is CIEN, and that is Chartered Institute of Economists of Nigeria. However, a significant number of economists choose the ICAN qualification over the CIEN qualification. And from my observation, there are a few reasons for that, which I'm going to share with you. The first is job opportunities. In the corporate world, chartered accountants are needed everywhere, like literally from the small startup to the large multinationals. Only a few companies or a few sectors would require a dedicated economist. I mean, think about it. Number 2 is career flexibility. ICAN offers several specialization paths, from taxation to audit to forensic accounting to advisory to financial management. This makes the accounting profession a very flexible profession to be in. Number 3 is market value. In Nigeria, the accounting profession tends to carry more recognition for finance and related roles, particularly for entry and mid-level positions. For managerial roles, however, combining a background in economics and accounting can be very strategic. Economists understand how policies, inflation, exchange rates, and economic trends affect the markets. An accountant, however, is concerned about how these factors affect specific businesses. So when you combine both perspectives, you begin to think like someone in senior strategic roles like CFO or CSO. So the decision often comes down to 3 possibilities. First would be that they probably wanted to study accounting but ended up studying economics, and so ICAN is like a means to get back on the path that they would rather be on. It could also be that they've tested the job market and realized that ICAN has better or more opportunities and earning potentials, or some of them may want to intentionally combine both fields to enhance their expertise. But of course, if you are an economist watching this video, or more so one who is in the journey to becoming a chartered accountant or is already a chartered accountant, I would love that you share your perspective with us in the comment section. What motivated you to come into accounting? And let's even expand it and make it more interesting. Not just economics, let's talk about other fields. If you are in any other discipline that is related to accounting, or if you are even in sciences or arts department, what motivated you to become a chartered accountant? Why are you trying to become a chartered accountant? What is it about this chartered accountancy certification that made you decide to go for it? I would love to hear from you in the comment section. And the beautiful part about sharing your view, your experience, your opinion in the comment section is that there are a lot of young professionals here who are confused, who are uncertain, who are unsure, like this lady who asked this question. And so you just don't know who is reading in the comment section. If you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed creating it, and you got value, clarity, and everything in between from watching this video, there are a number of ways you can support this channel and help us to reach more people. Number 1, give us a thumbs up. That is feedback. Number 2, leave a comment, share your opinion, share your view. And yeah, whatever you have to share. Number three, share this video to that friend, partner, person, neighbor that you know would need to watch this video. And subscribe to our channel. I'll see you in the next video. Keep being absolutely amazing. Cheers to becoming my friend. Bye.